Hey, Dr. Bateman. This is my Lab 5. This time I actually didn't have as many problems. I don't know why 100%. Maybe I just got lucky. Anyways, here we have our pig maze. We got our buttons. I went ahead and put it in the relative layout because I thought it would just be easier to than the constraint layout. This is our animation. All it is just an image view. Here's our manifest. The only thing we did here was make this green orientation portrait. And our main activity class, actually I like to start with the everything but the main activity. So here we have our maze cell Java class with a bunch of XY coordinates. This is just the logic behind creating a randomized maze every time. And this, well, okay, this is just the stuff you need to build it, and then this is the actual logic. And it is significant. And this is the actual animation stuff. So we have the first pig for 200 milliseconds, I believe, and the second pig for 200 milliseconds, and then the third pig for 200 milliseconds. And that's what gives us our winking, or our blinking, ear wiggling pig. Now let's go back to our main activity. We got a bunch of variables here. Here's our onCreate. This sets up the maze, I believe. This is the actual constructor for the maze. And it uses the child maze and then the index of 0. We also have our pig animation that's done here. And this sets it up the size of the actual pig, as well as puts the pig out there. This is our on-click listener for our up arrow, left and right, and down arrow, and this just changes the X or Y positions. And I think that's pretty much it. There's just a couple strings in there, and that's not that exciting. Plus, we got, those are all our pictures. I tried using this anim file. I think that this is outdated. So what I did was I put it in here, which is located in our drawable file, and cut out some of the stuff that was keeping it from working initially. It wasn't really too terribly difficult to figure that part out. So this one, I think, I don't know if it's my code or it's something to do with the emulator, but I have two emulators now because I was having problems with the first one in the past. So you can see here, like, I can click and it will find these constraints. Like, I don't understand what the constraints are coming. I think right now I'm actually supposed to be like located here. I'm sorry, located here. I'm pointing at the screen with my finger. I think I'm supposed to be located here and then go down, and now I'm located like here. So I think this has something to do with the fact that the maze is sizing independently of the size of the emulator. And I think that can be also expressed if I use a different size emulator. So and I can pull up a Nexus 4, and you'll see the maze looks different. It goes all the way down to the bottom of the screen for some reason, and also bleeds off the edge of the map. But the sizing where the pig is located is actually perfect. So I want to blame the code that the book gives us. So yeah, as you can see, it perfectly fits in there, and decided to relaunch, I guess. It perfectly fits in there. It hits the exact walls, can't go past the walls. But the actual maze end, if there really even is one, since it's not actually written into anything. It just is a maze for the sake of being a maze. The actual maze end is off the edge of the screen. So I think it has... I want to blame the code, but... I don't know. It's easy to blame somebody else, I guess. But as you can see, it's stuck in portrait mode. It won't change to landscape. And that is our pig maze. Talking to one of my group members earlier, and they said that they were having the same issues. So next we have our gear churn, and this was really being weird, just because Android Studio is being weird. We'll start with our layout here. We've got small gear, big gear, a button, and pretty exciting. Again, the only thing we changed here was make sure the screen orientation is portrait. Our gears Java class just sets up the gears object. We have our start degree and our end degree and our null constructors. Null constructor and our getters and setters. Check out this real quick, just a couple strings to define the names of the images. And was there anything else other than the actual main activity Java class? I don't think so. So let's just jump right in there. We've got our variables for our gear images, our objects for our gears, and these variables that were written in the book that are never used, so we might as well just get rid of them, I suppose. Then we've got our onCreate. The only thing we added here was we've instantiated these gear image objects, these gear image views as, or we've just hooked these up essentially, and then we call our initialize gears. And this just says we want the gears to be set up as they are, and whenever we call our animation, they will end 360 degrees from where they are, or negative 360 degrees where they are. We have a delay of 1,000 milliseconds, I believe, in our animate gears method. And this rotates one of the gears, and this rotates the other one of the gears. So we can just see how that works. And that's, wait, yeah, that's all there is to it. Then finally we have our sound jukebox, and you can see the beautiful colors of the layout. We've got our strings file that actually was kind of important. This is the content descriptions. This is what they ended up being set as, and we call the content descriptions inside of our Java class. Let's go over here to the left. Okay, we got our manifest. Again, the only thing we've changed here is the portrait. In here we have our raw MP3s, M4As, WAV files. And then the last thing is the actual Java class itself. Here we've created these image buttons. We've created this sound pool object and this sparse int array object. Then we've got our media player and our media controller. On our onCreate, the only thing we're doing is calling these configure sounds and initializing the jukebox buttons. So our configure sounds uses this deprecated method called sound pool. And conversely, you could be using the soundpool.builder. I went ahead and just used the sound pool because that's actually, it wasn't letting me use this Audio Manager Stream Music in the builder for some reason. I mean, we can check it out real quick. The constructor wants, see, it thinks that this is an int for some reason. Builder in builder cannot be applied to int comma int. But when we actually look at the constructor itself, oops, what does it want? No, that's not it. When I was looking at this Stack Overflow, and we've got our max streams, we've got our stream type, which is the audio attribute, which is what that stream music thing is supposed to be doing, I believe. And then the source quality was set to 0, but it's no longer needed. So what they do here is they create the object of the builder, and then they set this up later. And maybe that's what I needed to do if I wanted to use the builder, because I wasn't able to set the pieces of it up. Required Android. Maybe it just doesn't work with this. Yeah. Incompatible types, sound pool. Maybe this is my problem, probably. Equals new sound. Okay, never mind. I don't know. The other one worked, so I just went ahead and stuck with it. I could maybe figure out how to get the sound pool builder to work, but m sound pool equals new sound pool builder. I guess yeah, it doesn't super matter. Yeah, no, it should be sound pool, because that's my variable. Equals a new sound pool builder. Yeah, I don't know why that doesn't work. I maybe could figure out, but this works, so I'm sticking with it. Anyways, we've got our int array of 4, which is the 5 different buttons we have and the 5 different audio clips. And then our sound pool is the bell clang, gong, spooky cry, and I have spooky cry in there twice for some reason. Let me double check what that's supposed to be. Spooky cry, random ha. Yeah. Then inside of our actual media player, we preloaded the drum in there. Then we have our initialize jukebox buttons, where we hook them up to the buttons, to the image buttons, and play the sound effects, the on-click listener. We set out the on-click listener, which we could have done elsewhere, but we didn't. And then finally we have our on-click listener. And all it's really doing is checking for the content description. If the content is X, it plays X. And if the content is Y, it plays Y, etc., etc. And that's, yeah, super easy. So, I'm sure you're running into a lot of this as well. I posted something up on the forums, for the class forums. You've probably already seen it, but you click the bell clang button, and it does this weird thunk sounds. I don't know. But the drum solo actually works. And the reason for this is that in the raw file you gave us, these don't actually play what they're described in the name. So, that's the reason that it's misbehaving. It's not really misbehaving, it's doing exactly what we're telling it to, but we just think that it's supposed to be something different. And I believe that is all I have for you. So,